Happy Thursday. It is Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus, and a good Thursday one and all. Good morning or good afternoon, Figgie. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Doing great. I mean, it would have been better if the Yankees, they came all the way back last night. We'll start with the Bombers, and we'll get to the Mets, who split a doubleheader and showed off a little bit of power. They needed that one late last night,
Big time.
game of the double dip. And ended up winning that game 7-3. But start with the Yankees. Fell behind 8-0 against Toronto. Rally, you get the big 2-run home run from Judge down 9-7 to tie it up at 9. And then Devin Williams gives it up as the Blue Jays, end up winning that game 11-9. And now we begin again in the American League East. As far as the Yankees are concerned, there is no lead. The Yankees are in a flat-footed tie when you look at the division. The Blue Jays are surging. The Yankees are not. Boone's telling everybody after the game, we still believe we're a really good team. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. What's your take on the Bombers here on this Thursday, Figgy?
You said a flat-footed tie. That's where I disagree with you wholeheartedly. The Yankees are stumbling, and the Toronto Blue Jays are starting to find their momentum. Well, not just the standings, but the way that the games are being played, the way that the style of baseball is being played, the way that the team is gaining confidence, and all of a sudden the big bad bully is getting knocked on his arse. And so not only that the Toronto Blue Jays are there, but there's no breathing room now because Tampa Bay is a half game out themselves. So all of a sudden you find yourself in a dogfight when, before you were top dog looking back at the rest of the division, and they were floundering in the beginning of the season. They've caught up to them in the month of July, and this is where it starts to get interesting to see what moves can be made, what can be done to right the ship, because, it was great to see the bounce back last night. I mean, get down, punched right in the mouth at 7-0. Could have easily wilted, stood back. They played a little small ball. They, added on, tacked on runs. All of a sudden, you get a big home run from Stanton. And why, oh, why are you pitching to Judge in that situation? And when I say pitching to Judge in that situation, I mean not pitching to him carefully. Why you throw a slider that misses an entire plate and a half for a major league pitcher. Like when you miss as a major league pitcher, you should miss by a few inches, not a whole foot and a half, and leave the ball on the inside part of the plate. Judge just tees off on it, hits the home run, ties the game. That's where you felt like, oh my gosh, this is a huge moment, right, for the Yankees, a momentum changing moment for them. And of course,
let's be honest.
Defense. Comes back to defense.
No, I get it. And listen, the Yankees aren't a good baseball team. I mean, I don't know the way to cut it. I mean, they're 10 games.
They're good. No, they're good.
You look at their run differential, they're plus 106. The other teams that are around that mark are looking at, they're standing at 20 games over 500. The Yankees are 10 at 48 and 38. Williams has never looked, outside of maybe the last 3 weeks, has never really looked particularly comfortable being a New York Yankee. And I think we look back at the Yankees changing their hair policy where they knew, and that's really on the Yankees in terms of, where there's country mouses and there's big city mouses, right? That's the old kind of cliche. And sometimes guys aren't necessarily comfortable, being in the big city. I think we've seen that here with Devin Williams, and it's been a difficult time for him going out there adjusting. So that's been an issue. The base running's been an issue. The defense has been an issue. You got the manager going out there telling you day in, day out, wow, we're still a good team. I mean, we still believe we're a really good team. I mean, I don't know if there has to come down to a point where there's a little bit of accountability. And that comes down to the mindset of the organization, where there is a self-satisfaction with the Yankees about, the amount of money they make, the valuation of the team, making the playoffs. It's really difficult to win. They want to continue to hammer that home instead of going out there holding yourself to a higher standard, which they historically did under George Steinbrenner. You have Cashman a couple of off seasons ago at the GM meetings ranting about Anthony Volpe, and criticizing the media that covers the Yankees in terms of, telling it, well, what about when he's killing it and hitting 320? Anthony Volpe's hitting under 240 this season, right? He's never going to be the offensive player, I believe, that the Yankees ever envisioned him going to be, right? The Yankees want to tell you our analytics department is not necessarily all that big, right? Because they want to try and keep pace with the Tampa Bay Rays and everybody else. So it's frustrating to watch a team and an organization when you have a generational talent that Aaron Judge is, and he is a generational talent. His career arc is going to be, unless something drastic happens, unfortunate happens, like he's on pace to be a Hall of Famer in Cooperstown, right? So that's the caliber of player that Aaron Judge is. The Yankees have been to one World Series with him. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees in 2017, think about this, 9 years ago when they went through that rebuild and all the young Yankees that came through, and, the Greg Birds, the Gary Sanchez's, the Miguel Andújars, the Clint Fraziers, all those guys, to go get Gleyber Torres from the Chicago Cubs. And here we are, we're sitting here, it's 2025, and the Yankees look old and unathletic in spots. They like playing guys out of position. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, Jazz Chisholm's right. Everybody knows I'm a second baseman. He is. Play the man at second base. I mean, that's it. Figure it out. If it's difficult to go out there and find an everyday third baseman, well, that's your job. I mean, that really is your job as an organization to find yourself an everyday third baseman. You are the New York Yankees, right? Stop playing guys out of position because you think athletically that they can go out there and do it. Now, he hasn't embarrassed himself, right? I mean, He's been an absolute sieve, but he is no stretch. He's not Scott Rowland, Mike Schmidt. None of those caliber third basemen, right? I mean, it's just a night and day difference, right? So you kind of deal with him, and some of the adventures you'll get with him at third base at times. But that's no fault of his own because that's not his natural position. But the Yankees decide to do these things, right? Remember when they played Gleyber at shortstop? Remember when they had Gary Sanchez behind home plate, right? Leg down, all this stuff. Even though every scout in Major League Baseball thought he was a designated hitter, no, they kept on playing him behind home plate because you know what? The Yankees wanted to go out there and prove everybody wrong until it came back to a point where it was like, you know what? Everybody else was right. That's the frustrating aspect when you look at this Yankee team is, there's a self-satisfaction. They like to do things their way and they're a little thick-headed, Figgy, in their mindset until it becomes abundantly clear that they have to make a change. Remember Donaldson? They brought him in for his edge. Hell with the stats, hell with the fact that he's aging poorly or he's not really necessarily productive. No, the Yankees need to bring his edge into the clubhouse. How'd that work out? I mean, it didn't work out particularly well. That's the aspect where you look at this team, and last night was another bad performance. I give them credit for rallying, but this team was down 8-0. They were down 8-0 at one point in time. They still ended up losing. So, what are we going to give? Oh, great college try. Give them a pat on the back. That's the frustrating aspect being the Yankees right now.
The phrase is keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Right.
They used to be the Joneses. They are no longer the Joneses.
No.
Let's stop sitting around here acting like the Yankees are the creme de la creme of baseball. And when you talk about what they've done production wise, what they've done winning wise, what they've done by getting to the World Series wise, they are not. Even in their own division, the Boston Red Sox have been to the World Series more times than they have since the calendar turned to the year 2000. That's something that, Yankee fans always hang their hat on, is the 27 championships and all those different things. But we've talked about, that's long gone. The dynasty that we saw in the late 90s was something that you can't duplicate in the modern era. You know why? Because other teams can keep up with the Joneses. Other teams have money now. Other teams have resources now. Other teams are scouting. There's it used to be, the whole facial hair policy change thing was, our guys staying away from the Yankees because of the facial hair policy? No.
Yeah, it's all not.
Right. They don't care.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Now guys are going to be more comfortable. I mean, listen, you're a facial hair guy. I'm not really. I can't really grow it. It doesn't look particularly good when I do, but I wouldn't tell you if I could, I would be like, oh, you know what? Now I'm ready to go out there and deliver a great show. No. I go out there. I'm not thinking about whether or not I have a goatee, a mustache, a beard, or whatever it might be.
Right.
When I'm going out there trying to do my job, that's it. You do your job because you know what? You love what you do. You got a passion for what you do, and money's money. Everyone.
We've seen them all do. We've seen them all do it, right? We've seen every guy say, "Oh, I hate the Yankees. I hate everything about Johnny Damon." Very famously, Ellsbury, all the Boston Red Sox that came over. Jason Giambi, who had his hair, down to his shoulders, and the Yankees are paying. I'm cutting my hair. So that policy, I get it. It was archaic. We understand. They wanted to be more hip, more to the modern player. Nothing ever is going to take away from the fact that if you are the highest paying team, you're going to get the player 99.9% of the time. That wouldn't be the reason why a player doesn't play for the Yankees. The other thing is when you look at just the way, as you've said it time and time again, the ballpark is packed no matter what, right?
Oh.
They're selling out no matter what. And so the standard, as we see it, the standard of what Yankee baseball was, or the standard of what the players at every position, you shouldn't have question marks of, there's something lackluster about it, especially a whole position. Yesterday, again, you put Austin Wells in a game as a pinch runner, right? Why was Wells in the game as a pinch runner at any point when defensively, if Austin Wells is in the game, maybe that ball doesn't get by, maybe Devin Williams escapes the jam, but it's still a tied ball game, right? Who knows if they go on to win or lose? But how are you using Wells for the first time in a while since his diagnosis, and you use him as a pinch runner? And you're going to go with Ben Rice, who you don't have confidence in as a backup. Otherwise, Ascara would be gone, and you bring up somebody that can actually play defense and help your defense somewhere on the field. It's been lackluster all the way around. I understand that. I get that. I think for, the players and for a guy like Judge is that you have to maintain that air of everything is okay. We're fine. And we're looking at it from the outside going, how could it possibly be fine? You had a lead in June, and now where are you?
Right. I listen, I get the modern era, right? I understand. And there's a softening, the player empowerment, you can't hold guys accountable like you used to, the amount of money that's being made, the players are the focus, people are packing the ballpark because they want to go out there and see Aaron Judge go out there and play big. I understand. But there does come a point, like when you're the manager, and you have to be like, listen, this is unacceptable.
Yeah,
like, this is not who we are. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, things have got to change. Like, the mindset has got to change. Like, this, it can't all be honky dory every single night. You can't give me the cliche every single night. Bad luck. Wow, it's a long baseball season. No doubt it is. It's 160 games. Or, we're a really good baseball team. Or, Volpe getting asked the other day about, making two mind-numbing decisions in the field. Well, I'm taught to be aggressive, and going out there and, and excusing, two terrible baseball throws that, like, kids in Little League out there and dare do, right? And he's doing it on a Major League Baseball now. Like, there does come a point. Jason Dominguez not realizing how many outs there are, right? Going out there getting thrown out at third with less than 2 out. Like, the stuff that you're seeing, trying to steal. I mean, when you're already in scoring position in extra innings, if you're Volpe against the Boston Red Sox trying to steal third, like, what are we doing? Like, there's stuff that they do, and you say to yourself, like, this is really stupid. Like, it's dumb. Like, it's bad baseball. And then and I like Boone. We both like Boone. Really, really good guy. You can have a conversation with him in the clubhouse, affable, likable. And I get why he's managing the team. But then you say, well, it's okay to be like, if you're the manager after the game, be like, we've got to be better. We're better than this, instead of excusing everything. And I don't care what you say behind the scenes and what you have to say publicly. Sometimes you need to say, and you could couch it a little bit, what you say publicly and what you're going to say privately.
Oh, no doubt. And I think for someone like Boone, who's been in the media, he understands that, right? He should understand that better. He should understand that there's a way to deliver the message where it's not necessarily listen, my college coach was an absolute pro at speaking to you, but not speaking to you directly. In other words, he'd bring the whole team together. He would be cursing and ranting and raving, and you knew exactly who he was talking about, but he never mentioned your name, right? You can do that as a manager of the Yankees. Say, hey, we need to play a better defense. We need to play to a major league standard. We need to play to the Yankee standard, whatever it may be. Just a message of that nature, rather than saying, things happen. That's baseball, Susan. All those different cliches that go with, being a guy that's trying to protect players. The media doesn't care if you're protecting players, because the media is going to go right to the player. And the media wants to know, hey, do you even feel bad the way you're playing? Do you even care how bad it looks right now? Like, you're not hitting, you're not playing defense. What do you bring to this team? Like, it would take something like that where you get an argument out of a player, or get a player to understand, like, you want to see some kind of reaction out of a player. Like, I want Volpe to get in the dugout, throw his glove, do something that makes me feel like, hey, you know what? I messed up. I know I messed up. If I was 8 years old, I know I messed up, except there'll be a coach on top of me saying, hey, learn from this so this never happens again. You shouldn't be learning that lesson at the age of 25.
Right. I mean, Ian Hamilton yelling at a guy for not running up the first baseline. I mean, and then, because he was pitching poorly, where Judge
Yeah.
basically would go out to first base and calm the mood and the temper. There's just things that you see from this Yankee team. Frustrating. It really is. There's no question about it. And yesterday last night was a frustrating loss for the Bombers. We'll get into a little Mets baseball. They showed themselves a little life late in Queens last night. We'll do that next. It's Figgie and the Moose on this Thursday right here on Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. And look, the Mets won a baseball game last night, split a double dip against the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday, lost early, bullpen imploded, didn't have much offense, just 2 hits on the afternoon. And then the nightcap in front of a significantly larger crowd as compared to the day game. And I know people point that out, but what do you want to do? I mean, get people who had tickets the night before rain out. Sometimes, people have to work, as we all do, day in and day out. Right?
True.
So, but the crowd was large and energetic last night, and they got rewarded. The grand slam by Nimmo set the tone early. The Lindor home run. He had to sweat out a couple of pitches. One by Edwin Diaz late, top of the 8th inning, men on first and second, 6-3 game. But still, Diaz pitched brilliantly. Bullpen has been a little bit better. Good to see the Mets get a victory. And Figgy, that team and those players desperately needed it.
No doubt. The first game, it was like, here we go again. All right. You have your starter go out there and he's giving you 90 pitches only. And I hear, people complaining about 90 pitches. From Clay Holmes, 90 pitches is more than enough, right? He held them to 1 run, left the runner on, and immediately 1 pitch later, the game is tied. So when that happens, you can't fault Clay Holmes and his efforts. You can't fault the manager for bringing in a pitcher that is 1 pitch away from getting a ground ball double play and getting out of the inning, and then you're still leading 2-1. So a close and tight game until, of course, the dreaded 5-run inning happens to the Mets yet again. During that losing stretch in those 17 games, there were 8 games that they lost by. When they lost, there was an inning where there was 5 or more runs scored. 8 times, 5 or more runs scored. That is unacceptable at the major league level. That's something that happens when you're ill-prepared. You don't have the personnel to be able to stop a rally of that magnitude. I mean, that all those different things that could possibly happen. To give up 5-6 runs at a time, 8 times in a stretch of 17 games is really mind-boggling for a team that had pitched so well going into June, the best pitching staff in baseball at the time. And we said it, right? They were kind of all of a sudden about to teeter, and it all kind of weirdly coincided with 2 things. Kodai Senga getting hurt on the throw, and Peterson actually threw a complete game shutout. And I know you're thinking, wow, how are those things the same? They're really not, but when you look at what happens with Kodai Senga as a stopper, as an ace, as a guy who keeps those losing streaks from being 5-game losing streaks, maybe it's a 4-game losing streak instead of a 7-game losing streak, right? So you have a stopper like Kodai Senga who's pitching to a 1.7 ERA. It just looked like he was locked in as ever, and because of the bad throw, he's out for a while. Then you have Peterson who goes complete game shutout. It's always the bounce back game after the complete game shutout. It's always, now how far can we push them this next game? And they tried to push them. They were winning 4-1 in Atlanta, the first game in Atlanta, and it sets the tone, right? If we win this first game in Atlanta, we're going to push them back even further, the 14-game lead. We feel a lot better about ourselves. This is a great time. Let's ride Peterson just a little bit longer. And you left them in there just 2 hitters too long. Reed comes in with a guy on, puts a guy on, then a double, bases clearing double with 2 outs, 2 strikes, changes that whole thing. And that's where the whole Jenga game starts falling apart, right? Brazoban, who had been so well, is being used in different situations. He's getting knocked around. He's walking the park. All the walks are coming around the score. All the things that could go wrong will go wrong. It's the Murphy's Law of baseball. So it was good to see after the first game, and that happened again. There was a lineup change, right? Nimmo leading off. You have Lindor batting second for the first time since mid-May of last year, and we know what he's done since he moved into that spot in mid-May. MVP chants were happening down the stretch of September until he hurt his back, and Ohtani continued his 50-50 season. There was really no way he was going to have a chance at that. But it was something that had to be done just to shake it up a little bit, right? And now you look at what transpired from that. You had 7 of the runs scored by those top 2 guys. They were the ones that were the catalyst. The grand slam by Nimmo. Lindor follows up with a back-to-back home run. All those little things. He's 3 hits again in the night. It's really good to see this team, find themselves a little bit at the bottom of the lineup. Had a couple of hits here and there, and that was great. And they fended off yet, an opportunity for the team to make a comeback. And they brought in Diaz in the 8th inning, 4-out save, 3 strikeouts out of the 4. And all is well in Mets land because it just felt different. It felt, especially against the pitcher that they were going against, the young rookie who's been, Mazeroski. But oh man,
7 of them.
He's as nasty as it comes when you talk about stuff. And it's the same thing with him. His outing before, remember, he had the Paul Skeens outing that he battled Paul Skeens and he beat him. And then the next outing he had a perfect game going into the 8th inning. And they stretched him a little bit further. The batter walks a batter, and then the next guy hits a home run. So he lost the no-hitter, he lost the shutout, and he lost the perfect game bid all in the matter of 2 hitters. And what's the bounce back? Well, we saw what the bounce back was. He was a little bit erratic. He was wild, walking people, and then all of a sudden paid the price of leaving a pitch over the middle of the plate to Brandon Nimmo, and he had a very short night. So again, a good game by the Mets. Now I got to see them do it again today.
Yeah. And Peterson's on the mound later on tonight. Clark Schmidt's on the mound for the Yankees later on this evening. Both night games, Yankees, Jays up in Toronto, Mets, Brewers out in Queens. Before we bid you adieu, got to give a hearty congratulations to Clayton Kershaw because it might be the last for a while for a starting pitcher. I mean, maybe. I mean, the next closest guy is Chris Sale with about 2,500 strikeouts, but he's in his mid to late 30s, and we'll see how long Sale can go. He's out for the Atlanta Braves with that fractured rib right now. But Clayton Kershaw gets his 3 strikeouts last night against the Chicago White Sox. The Dodgers rally because, of course, they do. Late in the game, Freddie Freeman with the walk-off hit as the Dodgers come all the way back and knock off the dreadful Chicago White Sox. Kershaw's stuff, not nearly what it once was, is now topping off at 89, 90 miles an hour, doing with a lot of guts and guile, keeping hitters off balance. But a first ballot Hall of Famer, a generational lefty starter. His curveball is that of legend when you look at it in League Baseball, Figgy. And it was great to see Kershaw achieve that last night and specifically be able to do it at home where he's been so brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a pitcher that generational talent for the organization since they drafted him, since they brought him up to the big leagues, has done nothing but impress, carried himself both on and off the field with utter class, and just set a standard for what it's supposed to look like for an ace pitcher. So remember all the days of the Mets, we have 5 aces. You don't have 5 Clayton Kershaws. Shut your mouth. There's no shot that you could absolutely say those things and compare Steven Matz and Clayton Kershaw. Stop the drama. Stop the cap, as the kids would say. I've loved watching Clayton Kershaw because this is a pitcher's pitcher. This is a guy who changes speeds, changes tempos. He wows you with his mechanics, just the way he sets himself with the pitch. His delivery is different. It's unique. It's his own. It's based off of a pitching drill. We were taught to pick our leg up, put it straight down just to keep your balance. And he did it. And he was like, well, if I can do it from this position, then it makes it easier for me to do it every single time. I can be very consistent with it. And he kept doing it and kept it as part of his regular mechanics. I haven't seen anybody else do it before or since. And such a unique pitcher. And when he was a power pitcher, there was no chance. It was almost, you're watching a guy who's just able to dominate easily from pitch 1 to pitch 120. Now, of course, like you said, he's a little bit older. He knows himself. He knows that slower is better because he's not going to overpower anybody with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. But that 62-mile-an-hour curveball with the almost 2,800 RPMs and spins all the way from the top, it's a unique angle. It's a unique view. And there's hitters that look at it in disbelief because they haven't seen anything like that, because we're used to now power curveballs at 85 miles an hour. So you're looking at a 23-mile-an-hour difference between a fastball and a curveball, and that's exactly what pitching is supposed to look like. So to one of the greatest pitchers of my generation or any generation, congratulations, because yeah, as you said, it's going to take a lot of duct tape to keep Chris Sale to be able to get to 3,000. You got after him is Garrett Cole with 2,200. And after that, not really anybody that's going to even make a dent.
No,
so could be the last.
Yeah, Cole's in his mid-30s, and he's coming off Tommy John. So, I mean, like, who knows exactly how long Garrett Cole does have. And it's just when that milestone's achieved, especially in today's day and age, Figgy, where guys are no longer pushed like they once were. You know, third time through the lineup and analytics and analyzing spin rate, not leaning into the athletic performance. You know, it's no longer the same, one and the same, you know, complete games. Like, I mean, you know, Peterson threw a complete game for the Mets, and it basically was getting a standing ovation because it's like almost like it's almost like seeing a bald eagle fly through the sky. It's a rarity. You never see it, right? It's like, oh my God, someone actually threw a complete game. You don't see it anymore. So it might be a long, long time till we see anybody get to 3,000 Ks.
And I got to give another shout out to Clayton Kershaw just for one reason and one reason alone. The hitting pitcher. There's very few who did it like Clayton Kershaw, because he's a total athlete, and he was such a competitor. He took his at bat seriously. He didn't just stand there with the bat on his shoulder. If he had to lay down a bunt, he could lay down a bunt. If he had to drive in two with a double in the gap, he could do that as well to beat you. And so that kept him in games a little bit longer as well, because you had the confidence that this guy's going to get the job done with the bat, not just his arm as well.
Yeah, and he's got that SoCal feel too. The long hair,
yeah, he does.
Dirty blonde hair. Looks like he could be surfing a tube, out there on the West Coast in the Pacific Ocean. That'll do it for this edition of Figgie and the Moose. We'll see what the Mets and the Yankees do later on tonight. Have yourself a wonderful Thursday. It's a holiday week. Tomorrow, a very special edition of Figgie and the Moose, a July 4th special. Make sure to be locked in then. 7 o'clock tonight, Sports Nation Nightly. Chat then.